Welcome, my lovelies.
Well, I haven't seen any yet.
Oh yeah, we're rising up pretty quick here. We've got 130 some odd, still rising. Good morning, GESARA watchers.
Good morning, Vietnamese dong owners.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, Vietnam. Is that famous film?
I have a song this morning.
You have a song.
Okay. I have a song. Okay.
Oh, you've gone a bit quiet now.
Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Jack Dorsey has left the board of Twitter.
You've gone rather quiet. I don't know why.
I don't know why. I'm still here. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Not really.
Not really.
Okay.
Not very well.
Let's see what happened here.
Can you hear me okay? Peter?
Yes, we can hear you, Peter.
Good. So I can be heard.
Here we go. Here we go. I see what's wrong. And now I am raising it up. Now you should be able to hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you better now.
Okay.
Much better.
All right. Thank you, Stella. Appreciate it.
That is absolutely stellar, yes.
Did everybody hear my song?
Did you sing a song?
Yeah,
yes.
I sang a song.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Okay. All right. So hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Jack Dorsey has left Twitter, off the board of Twitter. So
I thought that he was going to be given a job from Musk.
Cleaning bathrooms would be a good job for him, I think. Around the Twitter.
You see, over here we'd call it cleaning the toilets, because I don't think they'll have that many baths in the company, will they?
Well, no, toilets, bathrooms, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you, the loos. Okay. In this case, we'll call them Johns. Okay.
Johns. Okay. Yes. Well.
Right.
Yeah, we Brits, we always find it amusing that the Americans always talk about bathrooms. I remember flying to the USA once, and there was this American lady sitting next to me, and she wanted to get up, and she said, "Oh, can I get up? I need to go to the bathroom." And of course, me being a Brit, my first reaction was to say, "You want to take a bath on a plane?"
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense, to me that, that flying, you don't have baths on planes, at least not many. Maybe there are some exclusive planes which have baths, but the normal aeroplane just have toilets, not bathrooms.
So I should stick to my day job. Is that right? Oh, well, okay.
Well, at least it is day for you. It's evening for me.
All right. This is my day job.
So this is your day job, if you like.
This is my day job. All right. You want to transfer me to the con, Commander?
Oh, haven't I done that yet? I knew there was something I hadn't done. Let me do this. Right.
What, you don't like my singing voice? Is that it?
Your singing voice? Well, I don't know. It all depends what you're singing, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't like the song. I don't know.
I don't know. All right. Maybe I'll try something else.
Well, yeah, I say.
All right.
Over here
thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marie. Marie says I have a beautiful voice.
Right.
Okay.
And we would say, don't give up your day job.
Right. Exactly. All right. So I have the con. We are good to go. It looks like everybody's in. Lots of stuff going on. There's been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that we can talk about. Maybe other people can't talk about, but we can talk about.
That's right.
So we have a lot of things going on. And the main thing is that we are very, very, very close. Iraq has pretty much done with their dinar and their elections as far as setting up their government and everything is concerned. And now they're saying they're waiting on everybody else. So we're ready to go. It's just a matter of flipping the switch at this point.
no, I have a thought on this.
Uh-huh.
I think before this is made public, we're going to have to wait until the Platinum Jubilee is over, because this was part of the deal that the Platinum Jubilee happens, and
To let the Queen leave a legacy.
that's right. Yes. So but now that doesn't mean that we can't exchange in that period. In fact, I think during that event will be a great time for us to do our exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
But the public announcement, I think, is going to be after the Diamond Jubilee. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
Marion sent me something just a little bit earlier, and I'm going to read this out real quick. This is her takeaway from reading different sources on the RV. Number one, go in without expectation as to the rates, only with gratitude. I say this because we've heard various rates, and it's important to not be upset if they differ from what we've been told. They have the right to escort you out without anything if you have an attitude. I hear there is one rate for everyone, so no negotiation, which to me is one less thing to worry about. The most important thing to get while at the meeting is clean and clear certificate for each fund to provide the funds are legal. Get several copies. Yes, they should be QFS, but for a while, maybe we may be working under the old system as far as your banks are concerned. I am told you do not have to have a wallet. You do not have to have a bank set up for this. They will help you set this up under the new QFS system. A trust is for your protection and security. When things change to common law, the trust may be different, but we are still working under today's laws. As far as setting up a trust is concerned, fill out the paperwork, but don't get an EIN number from the IRS. Do not sign anything. All right. This is just an exercise to be ready in case you do need a trust. Because under the current construct, the IRS is no longer in business. Okay. It's defunct. It's gone bye-bye. But we still have to be ready for certain things. Be aware of your surroundings during the RV, okay, and whatnot. Don't let it be known that you're going to be coming into all of this cash or whatnot, or tell very few people, or don't tell anyone at all that you're going to an RV appointment, just for security reasons, for your own safety and security. If they do ask you to sign an NDA, take this very seriously. Do not discuss your rates with anyone, your RV location, currencies, because if you break that trust and you start going out and going on a spending spree and start telling everybody, about what's happened to you personally, then they may revoke your funds. We don't want that to happen. Make sure you say exchange currency and redeem bonds, not cash out. This is supposed to be a tax-free event. There should be no taxation or anything else, but they will help you set up everything as far as moving forward with your finances are concerned. So really not a lot to worry about. Just watch your P's and Q's. Be grateful for what you get.
So let me get this. You're saying we shouldn't be worried if we get the wrong rate. So if we say go in and expect to get a rate for the dong of say $2.50, and they say sorry, no, it's $6, should we then be angry or annoyed?
Well, you can get angry or annoyed if you want. Okay. Just remember they have the right to refusal. Okay.
Yeah.
If you do get angry or annoyed. I mean, if they say that the rate is, if you think the rate going in is $2.50 and they all of a sudden say, no, I'm sorry, that is incorrect. It is now $6 for Vietnam dong. And you get upset about that, that's, well.
I think I'd have to be pretty stupid to be upset about that.
Stupid is as stupid does. Okay. All right.
I certainly wouldn't be angry, put it this way.
Right, exactly.
I might smile and be sort of pleasantly surprised, but and even if it went from $2.50 to $2, come on, it doesn't matter. You know, I pay 70 euros for a 500,000 dong. And get 1 million back. You know, that's such a good exchange rate. Does it really make a difference if it's
I'm not gonna
2 million
worry
or
about
2
it.
million
Yeah.
200? Yeah,
It's like whatever I happen to get, I'm going to be very, very ecstatic and happy about. Okay.
exactly. So,
All right.
don't ruin it with false expectation. And if you got the Zim and you're expecting 30 million, and they give you 20 million, it's still 20 million. Yeah.
All right, John, you're right. $1 will be absolutely great. Okay. You know, if everything else is getting taken care of,
Yeah.
and I don't have a mortgage or car payment or anything else to worry about, and I get to sit on a med bag, I'll be happy with $1. I
Yeah.
will.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
I will be happy with $1.
A
Okay.
dollar per dong or a dollar per Zim.
Whatever. You know, what, even just $1, as long as it's a silver dollar or a gold dollar, you know, that
Gold-backed dollar.
something I can play with in my pocket, you know, and think about the future.
All right, okay, but we're not going to talk about what you play with in your pocket. That's
quit. You went there. I didn't go there. You went there.
well, yeah, but you're silver dollar, obviously.
Right, exactly. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, right. Okay, so anyway, there was quite a bit of news coming in the last few days, in fact, I was listening to Mark Z only yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that they are trying to make the event happen. In other words, the exchanges for us still happen in May. It's getting tight. It's the 26th of May already. So it would be great if it happens in May. I mean, I'm not going to complain if it's happening in the beginning of June. Maybe it's just that we can arrange the appointments. It doesn't mean that the actual appointment is in May, because I don't think they're going to fit us all in the few days which are left. But you know, I don't care. I mean, if I can make the call or go to the website and they say your appointment is on, I know, 20th of June, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to say thank you and be very patient till the 20th of June or whatever date they give me, and go to the appointment then. You know, I'm really not going to complain what date they give me. Hopefully,
interesting about dates, real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what's coming up? Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yes.
What is next? Well, not next weekend is something personal for you. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes.
But do you know what? Not this weekend, but next weekend is.
It's the Jubilee, isn't it?
Well, besides that.
Besides that, besides the Jubilee, and besides the event I'm going
has
to.
anybody been counting their Omer?
The Omer? What's that?
Because not this Sunday, but next Sunday is Pentecost. Did anybody realize that?
Pentecost, which means
Pentecost in
Pentecost.
the Bible. Right, exactly. This is when everything starts to really take place. It is in Hebrew. It is Pentecost, Shabbat in Hebrew. That is correct, Miss Wolf. But it is a celebration time of Pentecost. Also, this weekend is tomorrow is the last day of the World Economic Forum in Davos, and they're having a huge celebration on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, of evil promotion of evil proportions over in Davos. So this is all coinciding because usually the evil ones have their celebration 1 week before Pentecost.
Right.
Okay. All right. So this is all time right now. Okay. And we have the Platinum Jubilee opening on Pentecost.
Now, wouldn't it be great if Putin accidentally pressed the wrong button and a hypersonic missile just happened to be make its way to Davos?
That would be nifty. That would be real nifty.
Get them all in one go, yeah.
Get them all in one go. Yeah, that would be nifty.
And you can't stop hypersonic missiles once they're gone.
They're not missiles. They're tungsten steel rods that weigh about 2,000 pounds apiece, and whenever they come down from that atmosphere and pick up speed coming coming through, and they become ballistic missiles in and of themselves. They set off what is equivalent of a nuclear blast or a 6.0 magnitude earthquake, but have no fallout.
That's right. Except that they fall out of the sky.
Yes, hyperbaric. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. All right, but let's go. Go ahead.
But
Sorry.
say that that's just sometimes you just think of these what could accidentally happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They would all be more in place. Wouldn't it be useful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but obviously I doubt that's going to happen. Right, let's get into the news from sunny Cologne, yeah, where I am. So also one thing, we've been talking recently about food supplies and how the world food supplies have been. Let me take this off, just so that I can think better. The food supplies are in danger because they've been telling farmers not to farm their crops or destroy their crops and all that. Well, a story has come out recently, which I hope is true, and that is that the military has found in these dams enough food to feed the world for 150 years. So that even if all the crops fail this year, we can still all be fed because they got all this food in the dams. They just have to take it out and distribute it. Now, I really hope that that is a true story, and that means that we won't have food supplies. All the same, I still recommend stocking up on food just in case, because you never know. Maybe they've only got food you can't eat. I mean, if people like me who are vegan, maybe they just got meat, or you don't know what you're going to get. But at the moment it's just a rumor. We don't really know if this is true, but it would be great.
Can it last for 150 years? I don't know. Could it be just lambda spread? Does anybody know what lambda spread is? All right.
Lambda spread?
You have to know your Lord of the Rings movies in order to know what lambda spread is. But never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. The other thing is, which came out recently, was I understand in the USA you have a lot of problems getting baby food, baby formula or something like that. And what I've been reading the past few days is that this was actually a white hat operation, because the dark hats had planned, or actually were in the process of poisoning all the baby formula, which was being distributed in the USA as a means of killing the babies. So to stop that happening, the white hats confiscated and destroyed all the baby formula which was around. I mean, they couldn't check if they were what was destroyed or not. It was better get rid of it all, and then that problem is solved. Of course, you still have parents looking for food and for alternatives, but that's better than the kids dying of being poisoned. And so that was actually a white hat operation, from what I've been hearing. So another thing is, due to all the things that are happening, there are major risks of power blackouts, that the power will go off in various parts of the world. Various reasons for that. In some places, particularly in Europe, where there's not enough gas to power the power stations, or enough fuel, or whatever. That could actually happen in Germany, where I am. And in other places, particularly the UK, for example, some of the smaller companies were going bankrupt, and that can also cause power supplies and also internet blackouts, for that matter. Just the same can apply to the internet, where internet blackouts can occur if your local supplier.
All right, I have an interesting observation. With everything going down and us not producing oil here in the United States for our own stuff, and we're asking other countries to increase their carbon footprint by producing more oil and whatnot. And we're having to spend a lot more money and do a lot more with coal here in the United States in order to provide electricity and things of that nature, instead of using natural gas to power a lot of stuff. We're actually increasing our carbon footprint. Okay, so all of this green energy that we're talking about right now and the transition to green everything for the environment and whatnot is totally a false narrative, because we are actually increasing more pollution by doing it the way we're doing instead of actually providing clean energy. Okay.
Here in Germany, for example, the Greens have been very active against nuclear power stations. So all the nuclear power stations have been switched off.
Right.
Right at the time when we actually need power. Their answer to the power shortages is, oh well, we'll build more windmills and solar systems, but they're not going to get those built in the quantities they would need to replace.
No, not even close. Not even close.
So,
but could this be the fact that we are going to be moving over to Tesla free energy, and this is a white hat operation
this is going to be the real
instead
solution,
of a black hat operation?
At the moment in Germany, they're talking about restarting the coal-fired power stations as a temporary solution until other solutions can be built, which I suppose would be one way of helping out to a certain extent.
Well, yeah, but then you increase your carbon footprint and you're not clean energy anymore, and you're going totally against the whole climate change agenda.
Well, no, where I live, there are coal-fired power stations quite close to where I live. I mean, literally 15 minutes drive from where I live. There are things, and I visited it. You can actually visit it and had a look around. They did a tour. And they actually showed that they have a lot of high tech in these power stations, and they have a lot of scrubbers in the chimney systems. And they say what comes out the top is actually just water vapor, because it's been so heavily cleaned. What is coming out of these power stations? So it is actually not necessarily an environmental issue.
Yeah, but do you know how much carbon dioxide is actually released? Or carbon is released into the atmosphere every time.
Well, that means you have more plants growing.
No. I'm not talking about plants and whatnot. Every time you open a can of soda.
Well, yes. I mean, I've always wondered how clever these Greens are, who talk about CO2 and then open up their fizzy drink.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know there's more carbon released into the atmosphere by opening a can or a bottle of soda than all of the aircraft combined in the world in one day?
Well, I'm not quite sure that's true, but...
Well, no, I'm talking about how many sodas are open versus how many aircraft and vehicles are powered up and producing carbon in the world.
Yeah,
there's more carbon released
CO2 is not an issue anyway. We're always being told it's bad, but all that happens is that you have more, it's plant food. So
exactly.
So the world gets greener, you get more food.
Right, exactly.
CO2
it's
is
all
good
a false
for plants.
narrative.
It helps them grow.
They tell us to follow the science, but they're talking about a science that they created, not necessarily real science.
Okay? Well, their science is just politics, and it's all about the money. It's not about the science.
Power and money.
Yeah,
it's power and money. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
If it was following the science, we'd have had Tesla free energy a long time ago.
Sorry, go ahead. Go back with the news.
Right. So it's saying that World Health leaders appeared to have changed their plans today. Well, this was written yesterday, after public backlash in recent weeks regarding a proposed amendment that would increase the power of the World Health Organization. And yes, this is a major issue because a lot of countries, including Germany and I think the USA, are in the process of trying to transfer their sovereignty as regards health issues to the WHO, which is a private organization and a nefarious one at that. And that would be their way of saying, well, the WHO is now in control, and they told us we need to wear these masks, or we need to go into quarantine, or everybody has to be jabbed because the WHO has ordered. That's the kind of future they're envisaging.
Mm-hmm.
And
I sent a voice message to my congressperson about this. Um, uh, 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 Ann Wagner, okay, who is actually over in Davos, at the World Economic Forum, and I'm like, what are you doing over there? All right. And I said, I would write you a letter about this whole thing with the WHO and giving away our sovereignty, but I can't spell, and that's all I really have to say. So that was
yeah,
my voice message to her.
okay. Well, you couldn't
Okay.
spell that.
No, I couldn't spell that.
Okay. So I don't know how we're going to do the subtitles for that in the recording.
I threw you a curveball, but go ahead. Let's go on with it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So everybody on planet Earth will be using the quantum financial system and quantum voting system. I think we need that most definitely. The ape pox symptoms are actually seen to be the same as skin reactions to the jab. So
Shingles, reactions to the jab, monkeypox, it's all the same thing.
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to trigger any nasty words because we've been trying to put our show out on YouTube, and YouTube is a little bit sensitive about words like that.
I'm going to get bleeped, aren't I?
Yeah, probably, yes.
Okay.
Bleep it.
Well, bleeping okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of a British comedy. For those in the UK, I'm talking about Keeping Up Appearances, where you have this lady, this sort of rather posh, a lady who tries to be posh called Hyacinth Bouquet, and she calls the TV repairman in because she says she wants him to put this thing into the TV which makes a bleep noise whenever someone says something rude. And
Yep.
she obviously didn't know this was done by the TV channel, not by FTV. Anyway, also a stock market crash is supposed to be imminent. And
not today, it's not. They've been artificially increasing it by their own bots in the financial markets, and today it's up like over 550 points right now.
Well, I say it can't happen in Europe because, or at least here, we have a public holiday today. I don't know. Is it public holiday in the USA?
No, not today and not tomorrow. Public holiday on Monday for Memorial Day, of course.
Right. No, in Germany it's today. So today's
in Germany's today. Okay, all right.
So anyway, we've all been under Project Mockingbird and Paperclip our entire lives. Everything is wrong. The music is about to stop, as they say. Yes, if you look at the TV news and things, we've been fed BS all our lives. And the way the world really is very different. That anybody who does a lot of fact checking like we do, you just get amazing. My wife often says, "Look, you can't just put everything into question which is on the news," and I say, "Yes, you can, because most of it is wrong."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Most of what we've been taught about history and what we've been seeing on the news media and whatnot is totally a lie. So
let me see. As regards the quantum technology, every continent will have one central location for where the upgraded quantum technology will be centralized. For example, in the USA, it's going to be in Arizona. In South America, it's going to be in Brazil. In Africa, it's going to be in Cape Town, South Africa. Where it's going to be in Europe, they don't tell us, but there's going to be sort of central locations handling the quantum technology for that continent. So it'll be very interesting to see where it is in Europe and in other places as well.
Well, here in the United States, I believe it's in Arizona.
Yeah, I just said in Arizona.
Yeah.
And each continent will have one main token released. and it will represent each country on that continent. So that's obviously referring to the currency. I'm really beginning to wonder, because I've been hearing stories that the notes will not have a denomination. They'll just have the number, like 10, 50, 100 or whatever, but not be dollars or pounds or euros, and we'll just call them that in our own countries. That would be an interesting concept.
It would be an interesting concept, but also the design of everything. Are we going to keep with designs of that have been in the past, where we put pictures of people and this, that, and the other thing on the currency? Or are we just going to take that and go bye-bye with it and not celebrate individual humans, from past? Or are we going to, we actually going to get away from that?
And the reason they're doing this is in order to help these countries be stable, avoid inflation and taxes and things like that. So they've obviously got it well planned, and we're in dribs and drabs. We're getting the more details of how our future financial situation will be. It's all quite exciting, and it's going to be very new to us all. And I think there's also shows like ours are going to be necessary to help educate people as to what has changed and how to handle it and all that. So I think we're going to still have a job once the money's released, Billy.
Oh yeah, it's not over once the money's released. That's when the
No,
real work
no.
begins.
I think this is going to be very important to help everybody get through it, because I think there's going to be a lot of explaining needed, because it's like moving in a different country. Like when I moved to Germany, things are done differently in Germany to this Britain. And of course, when you first move to another country, you start making mistakes because you don't know the way of thinking in the other country. And I think the same is similar with the new system. We're moving into constitutional common law. We're going to have gold-backed currency. So there are so many things that are going to be changed. It's going to be confusing, but also refreshing for us all, I think.
Yes, very much so.
So there's going to. All right. Now it's talking about Protocol 19 and 20 will bring in the complete merging to quantum systems. That means the old systems will be replaced with quantum systems, because the old systems were all Hubble, and they've got to be complained. Now, what's Protocol 19 and 20? Protocol 19 is the Black Swan event. The New York Stock Exchange is going to take a hit with the sun's corona. That's going to be the cover story. Think of the Old Bailey in V for Vendetta on the clock.
Right.
Did you see that film, V for
Vendetta?
Oh
yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting here in the background, and if somebody wants me to be the technical director and call the cues, I'm sitting here back here in the background going, cue up 1812 overture, stand by, fat lady.
Okay, well, it's likely to be the 222 overture from ISO.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, the official song is the 1812 overture.
Right. Okay. Yes. Well, we'll say what comes.
Okay.
Castle Rock means all the big bad stuff goes down on Biden admin. In other words, they're leaving Biden in place at the moment, so that he gets blamed for all the bad stuff which is happening, and will still happen in the short term.
Yep.
34 buildings are being bombed. We've talked about this many times. I still haven't seen a list of all 34 buildings. We know a few of them, but not all. Have you seen a list of which those 34
I have not
buildings
seen
are?
the complete list. All I know is for sure the big ones are going to be Buckingham Palace, the Vatican, the White House, and several other things, including the Three Gorges Dam, possibly the Hoover Dam. There is a reason why Lake Mead is being drained right now. Okay. And people are thinking it's to starve out water supplies for the farmers and everybody else out in that area. That is not the case at all, because if Lake Mead was full and all of a sudden you get hit with the rods of God from, at the Hoover Dam, which is nothing but a big dumb anyway, you would have thousands of people killed almost instantaneously from the breaking of that dam. So that's why Lake Mead is going down. Now, the question is, wouldn't that same thing happen if the Three Gorges Dam over in Wuhan took a hit? Yes, it would. But if you remember correctly, and you've seen reports of this, the Chinese have actually been building empty cities, okay, where nobody's living in them.
That's right.
All right. And I think this is a white hat operation that is being overseen by Xi Jinping in order to get those people out of the region once that dam goes.
Well, you see, China is rather schizophrenic because on the one side you have the CCP, which is on the side of the black hats and they're doing the bad stuff.
Right.
And then you have President Xi, if I've pronounced his name correctly, who's on the side of the alliance. So you're getting both sides in China. Well, I suppose you could say that of most countries these days. But so when they talk about China, you always wonder, is this the black hat or is it a white hat operation? But
well, you know, that is the big question. I mean, we can speculate all day long, but when you actually think about it, it would make sense. Whenever they're building, you know, communities over in China that have the capacity of taking millions of people that are not being lived in right now, and the fact that they're draining Lake Mead in order to prepare for the destruction of the Hoover Dam. That all makes sense at this point.
Right. So anyway, they're saying the event will start with water, which means dams and liquidity. So on the one side, the real water from dams, but also liquidity as in money being flowing.
Right.
And stock market, financial. It is based on the 3-day war, Bay of Pigs.
Right. Exactly. Does everybody know what the Bay of Pigs was? History.
Everybody
knows. Do you know what the Bay of Pigs was? Back in JFK's time, the CIA was trying to go in and take out Castro and things of that nature, and then they were going in and they actually stalled it, and we had a whole bunch of people get killed at the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, which was really a disaster. It was almost the same thing as what happened whenever we tried to go into Iran to get our people out, and Carter called it off. Same kind of scenario. All right, and we got a bunch of people killed during all of that. But it was really a black eye on our government and whatnot, and that's why it was a CIA operation from the start. And it wasn't just to infiltrate Cuba; it was actually to take out Fidel Castro and assassinate Fidel Castro.
Yeah,
Kennedy was actually opposed to.
They had a false flag operation there where they were going to send an empty aeroplane to Cuba and then cause it to be destroyed there and blame it on Castro. That was one of these major false flag operations which had been documented.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So what else we got?
Now there are some reports that the 27th, which is tomorrow, could be the day that the election will be flipped. In other words, that Biden is then officially kicked out.
It could be. I mean, it's still the everything is still in front of SCOTUS right now.
That's right.
The lawsuit from Mike Lindell was never tossed. It is still under consideration. And again, that's why I think the whole Roe v. Wade thing was thrown out there, just to create the atmosphere to protect the justices and also throw up all of the security measures around the Supreme Court. So it is a possibility. We'll see.
And there will also be massive cyber attacks. So what we can say to that is if you've got data online which you want to keep, download it. If you don't have enough space, go and buy an external hard disk. They're not that expensive these days. Just get everything which you need, which is just online, and download it and secure it, because it's very possible you'll lose everything which is just stored online. This could be pictures, memories. It could also be your Facebook profile, or also if you've got a lot of stuff on Telegram, you can also download all the entire channel if you want to. I will be doing that with my channel, that's for sure.
Now, here's another little tip I want to give you. If there is an EMP, okay, that goes off in a particular area or whatnot, there is going to be a lot of stuff that is online, our own personal computers and whatnot, that may be affected with that too. Now, if you have backup storage on a external hard drive, your cell phones and things of that nature, and you hear of an EMP going off, throw those things into a microwave. Unplug the microwave and put them in the microwave. The microwave is designed to shield from that type of thing, okay? Because of the microwaves it automatically emits whenever it is turned on. If you have an old microwave, it is the same thing as having a Faraday cage in order to prevent things from getting destroyed during an EMP. All right.
Just don't switch on the microwave.
No, unplug it, put things in the microwave, your phone, your external hard drives, things of that nature that you don't want to get affected. And it will protect them. Okay.
The thing
it's
is
simple.
is to know when to do this, because
Right, exactly. But if you have external hard drives that you already have, and you have an old microwave that doesn't work anymore, just set those in there, and it's basically the same thing as a Faraday cage.
yeah, I actually do have such a microwave in my cellar. What I also use, this is a Blu-ray drive.
Mm-hmm.
They don't cost much, and I use 50 gigabyte Blu-ray discs, and I just store all important projects onto that. And
Right.
that's also going to be safe because it's no longer electronic media.
You see, and I have a 4 terabyte hard drive, external hard drive, that I back up everything to.
Oh, I got plenty of those as well.
All right. But
I
I
have so
actually,
much- so many discs, it's
I actually
unbelievable.
have a microwave sitting here underneath my desk that is unplugged. Okay, and the wires run through the door of the microwave, and that's where my external hard drive sits all the time.
So let me go back to where, because now I've lost my space here. The gold-backed Chinese yuan has replaced the fiat US dollar as the world's reserve currency. I'm in the one of the things I want to do now is, because a lot of the money I have comes in via PayPal, and I'm going to see if I can set up either a Russian ruble or a Chinese yuan currency on PayPal, and then I can just shift the money I have in dollars and pounds and euros into that, because then it will be against a gold-backed currency as opposed to a fiat currency, and that's one thing I think should be possible. I haven't actually tried that yet, but I'm assuming it must be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can of course go to a bank and exchange money into rubles or one of the gold-backed currencies, because the fiat currencies are likely to lose their value.
Right.
So the global currency reset was actually activated on the 11th of May, although we didn't really see much of it being activated. And we're waiting for the Iraqi dinar to be finally released. Apparently that is pretty close.
That is according to Mark Z, that's already been done, and they are waiting for everybody else to come online and go.
That's right. So
if everybody else isn't ready to go, Iraq has said that they will probably go it alone.
The Mark Z was saying that the Iraqi dinar could be $6 or more.
Exactly.
Which would be quite good. Yeah, that's where you don't get angry when you're expecting $3 and they say, no, sorry,
exactly.
$6.
Man, I'm going to be so upset if it's not $3 and it is $6. I'm going to be terribly
upset.
I'm
sure you. Yeah, I think we all welcome getting more than we expected. So there are going to be some kind of tokens is going to be the word for currency apparently in future. Apparently, according to Charlie Ward, on Friday the 20th of May, the tokens were issued and banks were given liquidity in the new financial system. Funds would be available to the general public somewhere around the end of May to the beginning of June. I think it's, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be more June that the public will be made aware of this. And personally, I think it's going to be when after the Jubilee has happened. That's when I personally think it's going to be announced to the public. That doesn't mean that we cannot exchange beforehand, because they want at least a week for us to exchange before the public is aware of what's happening. Because we have to keep it secret when we exchange. We have an NDAs. We can't go saying, "Oh, I just got millions from this fund." We can say, "Well, my business is doing better, and that's why I bought a new car," that kind of thing.
Yeah, but people may have a big problem if I start driving my new monster truck or my Rolls-Royce Phantom around.
Yeah, and if I start buying up a castle or something, I'm sure they will say, "Where'd you get the money from?"
Right. Yeah. Well, you see, you have to be careful when you say castle, because over in Europe where you're at, they actually have real ones, where ours are all fake. Over here
Yeah,
in the
your
United
castles are
States.
fake. We have real castles.
You have real castles.
In fact, there are quite a few within easy drive from where I live. Yeah, but don't worry, I'm not planning on buying any castles. I know Castle in America, that's just a TV series.
Well, yeah, it is. I love that show too.
And my niece works on it, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love
my
that.
niece,
I love
Tara
that show.
Walker,
Castle.
her name is. She works in the art department. So she was.
Well, Castle is no longer made. That series.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
she's doing a different job. But while Castle was being made, she was actually in the art department and was building the sets
cool.
for Castle. And I found it very interesting because she said that's a much more interesting job than the actors, because the actors' job is actually quite bad because they're constantly having to repeat things again and again.
Oh,
and
yeah,
again.
yeah.
You're constantly waiting for the cameras to be set up for a different angle, and it's actually quite a boring job being an actor, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
all right, what else we got?
Yeah, it's amazing where one's personal links somewhere is to these things. Well, if you ever look at sort of some of the latest or the last episodes of Castle, just look in the credits. You'll see Tara Walker as art department in the credits. That's my niece from my brother's daughter. And so where were we? There are 3 remaining countries which were waiting to be connected to the QFS. They were Israel. I think we have a couple of people from Israel here. Delise, for example.
Well, she's not from Israel. She's actually. Are you still in Israel, Delise?
Yes,
you're still in Israel. You're still in
yes.
Israel, but you're from Italy, right?
I'm from America. I'm from Los
You're
Angeles.
from America. Okay.
You're from America. You just
I lived 30 years in Italy and now here.
A lot of echo there.
A lot of echo there. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. The other 2 countries are Lebanon and Mozambique.
Okay.
But they're supposed to have been connected by the 25th of May. So was yesterday. So hopefully that has already happened.
Great fishing down in Lebanon.
In Lebanon, great fishing. I've never been to Lebanon. You've been to Lebanon?
Oh yeah, Lebanon, Missouri, just about
Missouri.
about 2 hours southwest of here.
Yeah, that's a bit like
great trout fishing.
That's a bit like me saying to people here, and I do this quite often. I've been to St. Petersburg.
Right? Yeah, this is St. Petersburg, Germany.
Yeah, and well, there's a St. Petersburg in Russia, which is a very famous city.
Well, I've been to St. Petersburg too, for spring training when the Cardinals baseball. Here we go about the Cardinals again. The baseball Cardinals used to have their spring training in St. Petersburg, Florida, before they moved over to Jupiter.
That's right, and the St. Petersburg I've been to is the one in Florida.
So now we have Cardinals that are off-world in Jupiter.
Well, we'll see. Ganymede, I think Jupiter itself, I think it's not really livable, but I think Ganymede, I think, is where they are, which is a moon of Jupiter.
Right, exactly. But they're off-world anyway. All right, so let's finish up with the intel.
It's a massive planet. I mean, I don't think it'd be possible to survive on Jupiter because they must have a very, very high gravity and things like that. Yeah, I think only this morning I saw a picture comparing Earth to Jupiter, and you know that big hole on Jupiter. Earth's smaller than that. It's about half the size of that little spot on Jupiter.
Right. The forever storm. It's
So
actually the eye of a storm.
the eye of the storm. That's right. So the eye of the storm is bigger than Earth, about twice the size of Earth. So yeah, Jupiter is a big place. So where were we? Right. I think I just changed the page, didn't I? Tier 4B could expect notifications between the 25th of May and 1st or 2nd of June. So that's the period when we could be getting notifications. So
we're in the window. We're in the window.
We're already in that window. So we're going to certainly be keeping an eagle eye out for any messages, and as soon as we see something, we're going to be sending out emails. We're going to be posting on the forum and just about everywhere. Just keep an eye on what we're doing.
Right. I have trained carrier pigeons, and I am practicing on my smoke signals. If my smoke signals smell like mesquite, there's a reason for that. Okay.
Yeah, but you see, your pigeons, how good are they at communicating? I thought they only spoke pigeon English.
Well, they do only speak pigeon English, but they carry messages. They got little things.
They carry messages.
Little messages and
okay.
metal things that I attach to their legs. They don't like it, but.
Well, let's hope they don't get shot down by people shooting clay pigeons or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, just a quick disclaimer. Nobody knows the exact date when these things are happening. We can only give dates when we think these are happening. But as has happened many times in the past, these dates have often been wrong. So any dates we give are basically just best guesses at most, because at the end of the day, it's the quantum computer which is going to decide when the switch is going to be flicked and things are going to happen. And so don't hold us to any particular date, because we can only be wrong.
And the accounts, descriptions, videos, and dissemination thereof of this Zoom call without the express written consent of Peter and Billy is prohibited.
Right.
The official disclaimer, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sports broadcasting days.
So, on the 17th of May 2022, a constitutional convention of 38 states was held in Washington, D.C., where United States Incorporated was declared officially dead and the U.S. Republic was restored to principles of the original Constitution. So you now have a constitutional republic, as I understand. Which is great. It doesn't seem to have happened over here in Europe. At least we're not hearing about it. And I think we're all waiting for the 1776 Constitution to take over worldwide and for it to be actually taken a bite of.
Right. Did everybody see the video that was posted of the 38 states and the flag ceremony that they had outside of the White House? Did everybody see that? Okay. In the video that was posted in the background, and they pointed it out, they circled him and everything else. Trump was actually at the White House in the background during that ceremony for the Convention of States when we did the reconstituted Republic of the United States.
Yeah, I would have been disappointed if he wasn't there, to be honest.
He was there. He was there.
So he was playing his trump card. Okay, good. So let me just make sure I'm not repeating anything. Apparently, journalists who are going to this the World Economic Forum conference in Davos, quite a few have been arrested because they wanted to report honestly about what was being reported, as opposed to towing the line and just reporting what they're told to report. So apparently they have special police there to make sure that only a certain story gets out.
That's right. Censorship at its best.
Yes, yes, it's pretty awful actually, the censorship.
I will see if I can find a link to the ceremony and the videos that pointed out Trump in the background up behind the big crowd that was standing on the steps of the White House. But yeah, I'll see if I can find that and post it on Telegram.
So let me see what else we got here. So yeah, there's a lot of small things which I'm not really sure are so important right now. Um, Apparently there is no timeline for when baby formula shortage will end. Well, because they were trying to poison us, they probably wouldn't know anyway. I have heard from someone I follow in Mexico called Jim Stone, for those who know him,
Yes.
that there's plenty of baby formula available in
While.
someone's
Oh,
echoing.
somebody's yeah. All right, taking
Yeah,
care of.
there are plenty of baby formula and food and stuff in Mexico, just over the border from the USA. These shortages are limited to the USA apparently. Another thing which happened is that it's getting difficult to pay with Visa Mastercards. There was apparently a big outage in America where people were unable to pay with their cards and had to pay cash. And something similar actually happened here in Germany. In fact, only yesterday my wife was out shopping and was unable to pay with her card at the till, and just had enough money to scrape together. I think she had to put one or two things back. And I said, oh, I should have warned you. So this is going to happen probably more and more in the next days, that you may not be able to use your card. So make sure you have more cash in your pocket than you normally would do. Don't rely on cards right now, wherever you are in the world.
All right, I found that video. I have put the link. It's in my Telegram channel. I put the link to my Telegram channel where you can find that video of Trump at the ceremony in the chat.
And apparently, the New World Order is planning that major supermarkets will ban paying by cash and cards without digital ID and facial recognition technology. In other words, it's going to be part of their means of controlling us, so that if we do not toe the line, if we were to say anything which is not agreeable to the censors, then we can't go shopping anymore. They can't go shopping in major stores. That's part of the New World Order's plan.
Speaking of stuff that CGI and everything, and how they like to fool people, you posted a great thing the other day, and I'm trying to see if I can find it here, about how they create non-persons with technology and photos and things of that nature. Okay. You remember posting that?
Oh, right. Yes, I had posted a link to that. Yes.
Right. I'm trying to find it. It was
Well, I think I can find it quite quickly. Let me. If you can give me the con, I can probably demonstrate it because it's quite eerie.
Okay.
Let me just find it.
This is quite amazing. You have the con, Commander.
I have the con. Great. I'm just trying to find it. I posted quite a bit today, so I've moved. There we go. So, can you see this person here?
Yes.
That is a person who doesn't exist. This is from a website, a random face generator. This person does not exist. This is a computer generated person. If I go full screen, you'll see it better. Now I can click here, refresh image, and it generates another face. Now these are all computer generated faces. These people do not exist. But look at how clear and realistic these people are. Anybody would be fooled by these pictures. They look so natural and believable. But none of these are real photographs. They're all computer generated images of people.
Right. And whenever you look at the images of the teacher that was killed at Sandy Hook, and the teacher that was killed supposedly down in Uvalde. All right, they're almost identical.
Yeah, and that's where they get the pictures of the people who were killed. You know, they can just go to this generator and generate as many images as they like.
Mm-hmm.
And they go. I mean, look at that. It just looks so natural and so
Yeah,
realistic.
these are fakes. These are,
They're all fake. They're all computer generated.
they're all computer generated.
You know, you can do this all day. It'll generate new pictures all day, and every one looks realistic. It would fool anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I just had to show you that it's.
Thank you. You know, that just drives home, you know, how much we can actually look at something and know and think, oh my gosh, that's real. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's computer generated.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and also there's a lot
amazing.
of crisis actors involved in this whole thing. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Thank you, Steve.
It's it's frightening actually how good these pictures look like. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, only last time didn't we have a comparison between you and Durham?
Yeah, and now they made a comparison in between John Durham and Bruce Willis.
And Bruce Willis, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I could literally pass off as a body clone for with just a little bit of makeup and a prosthetic to cover up my hair for John Durham easily.
Yeah. In fact, I
Easily.
don't know if you saw the recording, but on the recording of that show where we talked about it, I actually placed an image of John Durham next to you.
Yes,
on the
I saw
screen.
that. Yeah, for the Birmingham show. Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
Yeah, so I just had to do that, you know. Because I thought, you know, we're talking about it, so obviously you just add that picture.
Right. You know, and I know there are people that have died, okay, and whatnot, and that's a tragedy, but these people are being summarily executed in order to drive a narrative, in order to promote a narrative. And this is the really sad part about it. We, you know, I don't know if you know, because parents weren't allowed to go into the funeral homes or the hospitals or things of that nature to identify their children. Some of them, they said, were so brutally done that they couldn't identify them, that they had to have DNA samples from the parents in order to identify their children. All right. So are those children still alive? We don't know. Are they being used for nefarious purposes? We don't know. Okay. But it's all, there's something being driven here, and we'll, you know, I'll talk about that later, but go ahead, Peter.
Okay, right. So some more intel from the White Hats. In the next 3 weeks, expect that the actor or clone of Biden to make very weird statements intentionally. The idea is to shock the sheep. What I would like to see, he seemed to just rip off the mask in public. That was what I'd love to see. But they'd probably cut the video feed before he finished taking it off.
Probably.
I
think he's Walter.
So what we're hearing is that the Biden clone is going to be told to make a scene and to cause panic to his own party, and the mainstream media must watch. The White Hats are actually in control of this Biden clone, and we're almost there. It says.
Has anybody seen
the plan by White Hats to bring down Twitter or take over the deep state site was in the Killbox exposure of Twitter on a world stage and its fake bots, lies to shareholders and billions of advertisers. I think Musk has been doing a fantastic job exposing Twitter.
Oh yeah,
I must take my hat off. If I was wearing a hat, I'd be taking my hat off to Musk for doing that. I think it's beautiful the way he first of all goes in and says, "Oh, I want to buy you for 46 billion or whatever it was," and then he says, "Yeah, but before we do that, let's just check how many fake bots you have." And then it turns out probably half their users are fake bots.
Right, and that is exposing not only Twitter, but it's again, it's exposing Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all of those at the same time. And the shareholders are going, well, if this is happening on Twitter, Is it happening? Are you inflating your numbers everywhere else too?
That's right, because
Okay.
it's fraud.
It is
Because
fraud.
if you're buying advertising on these platforms and they say they have so many millions of users and it turns out half of them are bots, then that is very fraudulent,
That's
and
an
any
SEC
advertiser
violation.
can rightly ask for money back.
Yeah, that is an SEC violation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's brilliant what he's doing. I mean, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'm loving seeing what is happening with, and they've earned it. They really have.
Oh yeah, they have.
Um, and yeah, and they're saying that the ripple effect of this is happening to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, behind the scenes and things like that. I was very intrigued actually with YouTube. Yeah, I told you they took down one of our videos recently.
Yes.
I later got an email from YouTube, basically sort of saying, "Oh, are you happy with our platform?" And basically saying we don't want you wandering off to other platforms. So I think a lot of people have moved to other platforms like like Rumble and BitChute, etc., Brighteon and all those old ones. And I think YouTube has actually been losing a lot of people.
Yes, they have.
So oh my God, I say that we said there was a lot. I still got one more page, I think. Yeah, this is the last page. A lot of stuff today. So Musk has nearly 100 million followers. That's a lot, isn't it? 100 million followers.
100 million followers. Good gosh.
So that's like Trump's. Trump had that many, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And of course they can't ban him on Twitter if he owns Twitter.
True.
His tweets are hitting major news networks in the US and across the world media stations. People were turning into his Twitter page as he exposes Twitter, etc. Also, Russian collusion, FBI involvement, Ghislaine Maxwell. It's just beautiful to watch. In the meantime, the deep state are desperately trying to create the next pandemic. We've all seen that with the apes, and in reality, that is just side effects of the jabs.
Right.
And there's all this fixation on Ukraine, yeah. When you think all the money we need in our own countries, all those projects are being scrapped. All the money's being sent to Ukraine, and I'm surprised not more people are asking, well, why? What is Ukraine? Ukraine's not in the NATO. It's not in the European Union. Although it's physically a large country, it's not a particularly important country in the world. Yet, all the world's leaders seem to be utterly enraged and doing everything they can to help Ukraine. They're not talking about the other 19 wars which are happening around the world right now. It's just this one war they're interested in.
Right, and that's because most of them, have stuff over there that most people don't. They don't want you to find out.
Well, that's right, because all their nasty projects are all based in Ukraine. And that's what they're worried. They're worried about saving their own skins. They're not worried about the people in Ukraine at all.
Yep.
Otherwise they'd be worried about other countries which are having wars. I mean, there are 19 others.
Right.
Benjamin Fulford tells us that there are many high-profile cases which are taking place through the US, EU, Canada, connected to human trafficking, sex trafficking and things. These hidden courts and prosecutions are not being reported. Basically, at most we're seeing about 20% of the cases, if that, and only then if we're looking. There are a hell of a lot of cases about taking down the more nasty aspects of what the deep state are doing. And as regards underground tunnel, the last battles are the hardest. The last 10 to 15% of the tunnels in the US are the hardest battles. Through California, Texas, Florida, at Waterworld of all places. They have all these maglev lines. Anyway, there are apparently still massive battles to take out the last of these underground tunnels. And of course, we don't hear anything. If you happen to live nearby, you may hear some noises. That's probably about as far as it gets. I think we've done enough intel for now. That was quite a lot.
Oh yeah.
There has been a lot happening. And instead of just saying, oh, there's a lot happening, but I can't tell you, we prefer to tell you.
As much as we can dig up and find out for sure.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's more happening than we can say, but we do want to try and tell you the major things that are happening. And so I can put my headphones on now, so I can properly hear.
All right. Well, let's get into the questions here. Patricia, good afternoon, dear. You're not on the beach.
She's still waiting.
There she is.
Yeah, I get really confused with Patricia. Sometimes she's on the beach, sometimes she's in her living room, and now she's in somewhere I haven't seen before. So
I'm on the other side of my kitchen table.
Oh, the other side, right.
The other side of the kitchen table. Okay. All
My
right.
beach mysteriously went away, so if somebody would be so kindly to tell me how to get it back. I thought I went in to choose virtual background, but I can't find it anymore.
That's okay. What
It
got
got washed away.
Yeah.
Question, the gold silver question.
Yes.
I thought the deep state bankers got together every morning and decided the price of gold silver. Is that ancient? And I also thought that the Federal Reserves were running out of money and can't print anymore and they were losing control. So why is the price of silver still so low? $22.
Oh, well, it's artificially suppressed.
That's
Okay.
right.
I mean, right now, if it wasn't artificially suppressed, you'd be seeing silver prices of about $3,000, $5,000 an ounce. Same thing with gold. Gold should be trading right now at about $30,000 an ounce. All right. Versus, the 1,800, 1,900 that it's been trading at. It's all artificially suppressed. And what you see in the stock market right now is artificially inflated. They have been artificially inflating the numbers for years to make you think that, oh, I need to get into the stock market and get investments and whatnot. And all you're doing is throwing money on a craps table, and then they somehow deflate it and everything comes back down and people lose money. But the only people who are making money are the hedge fund people and the big banks. That's it.
And also the reason why the gold and silver is artificially suppressed is because these people, the nasty people, if you like, they're trying to save their own funds in gold and silver. So they want the price low so that they can get as much money into gold and silver as they can. They can buy it because that's their way of protecting themselves.
Right.
So when the RV happens, will that no longer be? Are they going to be out of control?
That's right, yeah.
That is correct. Okay.
You can expect gold and silver to go up as much as 2,000 times.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
All
a good
right.
investment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Patricia. All right. You have a blessed day. Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Hello.
Yeah. How you doing, Steve?
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. It's interesting what you're saying, Billy, about the Tesla free energy.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was I read something about the Tesla cars. Back in 1921, there was a Tesla. It's called a Pierce Arrow electric car.
Yes.
And it actually runs on pure ether electricity.
Yes.
So that's over 100 years ago, and they had that technology then.
Yes.
It's just incredible that, and we're paying all these high energy bills and high costs and everything.
They've been suppressing these technologies so they can earn more money off us.
Yes, right. Exactly. But what I was interested in was that there was a discussion going on, and someone mentioned about, and I don't know if you know anything about this, about the pylons, the lines in the grid system.
Yeah.
They're actually, someone was saying that one side of the pylon collects the electricity, and the other side distributes the electricity,
Mhm.
and it actually collects the electricity from the ether. So very similar to the electric car. So
that is
again,
exactly right. Yeah.
have you ever heard about the pylon? Because that was the first I've heard about it, about pylons. And these, like the national grid and everything, it goes in a loop, and then you've got substations in between.
Right.
So it's drawing it from the ether, then it's going along to the substations where it's stored. You know, they use copper material for storing,
Right.
storing the power. So I've never heard of that. Someone said that they had it confirmed by a guy that worked on the pylons, and he was saying that's what happens. So
it's a Tesla coil. I mean, and it's a combination of Tesla coil theory and also Kofifi, okay, which is palladium, palladium, and iron. Okay. And that's what creates the loop circuit. In order to collect it and store it is the Kofifi, and the Tesla coil is actually the transmitter, or what is known as the collection device and transmitter is the Tesla coil, and then it is transferred into the storage thing by way of the Kofifi theory. Okay,
That's right. We actually published an article on that on the Telegram channel only today.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's the energy is limitless, and we're all facing massive increases in electricity and so on. And
well, yeah, that's how deep state earns its money, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It was interesting that under common law, people are actually having their power meters removed because it's actually illegal for them to be charging for electricity.
Well, they don't actually supply anything. These companies, they're just like credit brokers.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only thing that they have is the serial number on the meter. They don't even own the meter.
Right.
I think they're made by Siemens or someone.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a big con. The whole thing.
It is. You have the manufacturers, then you have the wholesalers, then you have the retailers, and we deal mostly with the retailers around the country. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And that's not even taking into account that there was an act back in the 19th century, the Bills of Exchange Act, where a deal was done with the bankers who were in trouble, and they had to go to the people and say, well, right, we'll give you free coal. At the time it was coal. We'll give you free coal in exchange for your labor.
Right.
And that's why years and years ago people used to have coal for free. It was cost pay anything for it.
Yeah.
Similar in America as well, I should think. But as time's gone by, they put these meters in, and you know, they're just, people are paying through the nose now. Something that everyone should have an equal share in the natural resources of the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, they will argue that, you know, building power stations cost money, and whatever, it's nuclear or coal fired or gas or whatever, that it all costs materials. I mean, that's the argument they will use, which to a certain extent, you know, obviously there are also infrastructure costs to get the electricity to your electric socket.
Right.
Yeah, that may be the case, but there's other things like the nuclear power and other forms of efficient energy that, you know, we shouldn't really be in this position at all.
No, we shouldn't be in this position, but we're put into this position by, you know, people who want money and power. That's all it is.
That's right.
It's just another form of enslavement at the end of the day. It's just to keep everyone under the thumb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the old, you know, when we used to think about it, you know, the coal miners and whatnot here in the United States, the old story is that you could go to the company store and only buy things from the company store with your pay and whatnot, but you can never get ahead. All right. Hence the old, Ernie Ford song, I owe my soul to the company store. Basically, we're in that same position. We never came out of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, with any, it's all going to change, isn't it? In the near future.
Oh, yeah.
In the history books, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
I think a lot of eyes are going to be opening as more and more gets revealed. I mean, there are 6,000 technologies we're expecting, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting time once all these things come out. We'll be moving towards Star Trek future.
Oh, yeah.
I think Star Trek is actually a good example of how our future could look like with
Yes.
technology and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, was it Roddenberry?
Roddenberry, yeah.
Roddenberry. He was in the know, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he was. Well, he went out of his way to contact scientists and engineers to find out what is possible, what is feasible. He wanted his ships to be based on science, not on anything which
on
he
fantasy, right?
On fantasy.
All right.
But I mean, you look at the secret space program as well. That's another thing about suppressed technologies. And I've read a couple of Dr. Michael Saller's books about the secret space program. And there's so much. I mean, we're told about is NASA.
Oh yeah,
There's so many other technologies out there, and he in his books he's got supporting documents and everything. You can find out about these things.
Yep.
But obviously you have to research or read.
There's an awful lot out there, and if you do your research and you study at it long enough, you'll find exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
All right. But thank you, Steve. Appreciate the
right.
comments here today.
Thank you.
All right. You have a great day. Delise.
Hello,
Delise.
good evening. How are you all?
Good evening, Delise.
Just had a couple of questions about, I saw a notice on Telegram about Italy being the first to go into this and also being the last to come out, the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
As of May 1st, the Green Pass was suspended.
Mhm.
And I think masks are required only in like small areas. Do you know any more about that? Because I'm trying to get information from people who live there, and they say that there's no Green Pass, but
I've heard there is no Green Pass anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
But that's the extent that I know of from,
Okay.
my research has been basically here in the United States. So.
Yeah, I do not know anybody in Italy, so I'm a bit limited in the information I'm getting from that place. I did hear a different story though from my German sources. They heard that somebody from Germany was visiting Israel, and they were double vaccinated, and when they wanted to leave Israel, they had to go through some machine to be checked, and they thought it was checking for explosives or something. But in reality, it was checking their vaccine status.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So they had
Oh my gosh.
and they pulled this lady aside because they said, "Oh, you're not vaccinated," because this machine says you're not vaccinated.
Oh my
Says, what do you mean? I've got, she had it stamped till I vaccinated from 2 different doctors, and said, "No, you must have had placebos or something."
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was shocked when I heard this story.
Leaving Israel.
Leaving Israel, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they held her up for a long time, and in the end, they allowed her to leave Israel, but with a stamp in her passport that she was a persona non grata and was never allowed to enter Israel again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was quite shocked by that story. I heard that yesterday from Alexander Quant, the German Charlie, if you like, and I thought, wow.
A machine that checks it. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So they're checking for something like the nanoparticles or something to see if you're vaccinated. And although she had the vaccination documents, and obviously she wasn't really vaccinated, and they detect that.
Oh my God. That's very, very scary. That's
Yeah.
very scary.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, it's the first time I've heard of the fact that they have
Wow.
machines to detect. So obviously, there's
whether or not you've actually been
You've
vaccinated or
actually
had a
been vaccinated.
yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, wow, that's another reason not to sleep tonight. Okay.
Sorry, Delise.
Sorry about that. You know, particularly as it was Israel,
That's
I just thought
horrible.
I had to
Yeah.
mention that. Yeah.
I'm glad, thank you. I'm really glad you did. Wow, that's horrible.
I could send you the report, but it's in German. You probably wouldn't understand it.
Well, would you send it? I wouldn't mind. Yeah, if you could give me a link to where that can be
Yeah. Okay.
found.
I'll see if I can dig it up and translate it or something. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
All
but
right, thanks. And then I wanted to say, Signal is going to be the only thing that's up and running, right?
other than ham radios and
Yeah.
other
That's right. Yes.
And Signal is not so reliable. The connection is not so good. Sometimes you call someone on Signal and it doesn't even ring.
Apparently, it's not. They have their own servers, which are not you're not the normal internet. So not quite sure how
Okay.
it's worked. Also, another thing, I've got a lot of people contacting me over our own Signal group that they can't get in, they can't register anymore.
Okay.
Now, I've been told the limit is 1,000 members, and we're at 988. So theoretically, they should still let people in, but I've been getting a lot of people saying they're trying to get in, they're using the link, and they're not being let in, and I can't find the reason for that. Except that we're very close to the 1,000 limit, and
Yes.
maybe for some reason that there's something blocking that.
Yeah, you see, and Peter
Okay.
has the group on Signal, but I do not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just my personal connection, and I don't
Uh-huh.
think there's a limit on how many people you can have as a personal connection.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the
Okay.
groups are limited to 1,000, and we're very close
Right.
to that limit now.
No, I was just trying to call individual people,
Yeah,
so that I could
Yeah,
communicate with them,
right
but
right now we're still transferring over to the Starlink system, which Signal is supposed to be on.
okay. All right.
Okay,
All right.
so there
And
may be a few interruptions here and there right now.
okay. All right. Thank you. And then I heard something about a dinar demoted account. Do you know anything about that? I was watching I don't remember exactly who, but they were talking about if you don't get the rate, or you don't get the rate during the dates that you're supposed to, then you could ask for a dinar demoted account. Do you know anything?
All right.
okay, I'll let Billy say.
Whenever we're talking about this, whatever you
Mhm.
get as far as a rate is concerned, be grateful,
Mhm.
because
Oh, I will be.
and,
I just
I
wanna know
would
what
not
that
I would
meant.
not get caught up in all of this stuff that the 3D
Okay.
people are thinking nothing but money, okay, and what they're
Yeah.
going to get for their dong, dinar, zim,
Okay,
bolivar, rupees, or whatever they're trying to
Uh-huh.
exchange. I'm not worried about it.
right.
Okay.
No, I'm not either. I just wondered what it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me explain, because I did hear the story, and I think you got the word wrong. It's not
Oh.
demoted; it's denominated.
Denominate. Okay, they said demoted. All right.
Yeah, it's not. It's denominated. In other words, it was Mark Z who was talking about this, and
okay.
he was saying that the dinar rate is likely to go up. So they may start at $3 or $4, and it would then move up to $6 or even as high as $20.
Mm.
So what he's suggesting is that when you have dinar, that you ask that it be put into a dinar nominated account. So that means the money stays in dinar, so that you can wait for the value to move up still higher, and then convert it into whatever currency you needed.
Oh, okay.
That was what it was about. It was a dinar denominated, not demoted.
Okay, because it sounded like demoted. It's hard. I went back a couple of times and listened, and it sounded
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that was the story on that one.
All right.
Okay. Last question.
Yes.
Last question. You were talking about the microwave. If you don't have a microwave, I wanted to know, we have bomb shelters. Would a bomb shelter be?
Should be, yes.
Should be, yes. It's supposed to. Bomb shelters are supposed to be nuclear insulated.
Even a
Okay.
tin box will help.
Yep.
Even a
A
tin
tin-
box?
A tin box,
Okay.
yeah. It's a little experiment you can do. Get a smartphone, put it
Uh-huh.
into a tin box, put the lid on, and then try and call that phone. You'll probably find you can't reach it.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
same thing with tin foil.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Although it has to be a bit thicker with tin foil.
Yeah, it has to be thick tin foil, but
I
you
don't-
can do this. You can do the same thing with tin foil.
Yeah, but if you have a
Okay.
tin box, like if you get a box of chocolates, which with a tin box, that
Mhm.
actually works as a mini Faraday cage, and put a phone
Oh.
inside, it will not ring.
Or you
Okay.
remember the old tins that you used to get potato chips and things like that in, or the
Or
caramel
the Danish
popcorn,
cookies?
or the Danish cookies, or the caramel popcorn you get at Christmas time. Those are
Right.
all tin. Okay,
Mm,
same thing.
okay,
Yes, in fact,
okay.
the last tin box I bought was actually, I think, last year. It was my tin wedding anniversary, and we were in Belgium at the time, so obviously got a tin box of chocolates.
Uh-huh, okay.
So that's.
So,
But it's
very,
actually my brother-in-law who told me the trick with the mobile phone and a tin box
uh-huh,
thing, because he's an electronics engineer,
Hmm.
and
okay,
he's pointed out, just put a phone in a tin box and it won't ring.
Yeah,
okay,
the roaster pans that are made out of tin.
right,
Same type of thing. Same type of
okay,
technology. Okay.
excellent. Thank you very much.
You're
Okay,
All right.
welcome.
Thank you,
thank you,
Delise.
So
thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
so we stopped her sleeping tonight.
Right. So D, hi. How you doing
Hey
today?
guys, I'm doing great. Hope you are too. A couple questions. I want to expand on the last gal thing because I got in and you were, Billy, when you were talking about putting your devices in a microwave.
Yes.
When and why would we do that?
To protect them, it's the same thing as putting it into a tin pan or a tin box. The microwave is designed to shield you from the microwave, signals, so you don't get damaged by them. Same thing. It's done. Same thing as putting on a lead liner before you get an X-ray. The technology is built into the microwave. It's basically a cheap faraway cage. Okay.
But
Well,
here what we're talking about here is the other way around. If there is an EMF pulse, which comes from bombs or whatever, which could destroy your computers and devices and things like that, if you put them in a microwave, they will be protected because, in the same way the microwave oven will protect you from the microwaves inside the oven, the same shielding protects your devices inside the things from anything outside getting in. So
Right.
that's what that's about.
It's kind of the same thing as, you've seen the movie Indiana Jones, and the King of the Crystal Skulls, wherever he gets inside of an old fridge that's lead lined, okay,
Yep.
and protects himself from the nuclear blast at the beginning of the movie. Same type of thing. Okay.
And there's an interesting story to that because that scene was originally planned for Back to the Future.
Yes, it was.
And they decided, instead of using a fridge as a time machine, they decided to use a DeLorean.
Hmm.
And then that scene, which was written for Back to the Future, was then used in that other movie.
That's correct.
okay, so is putting your device in the microwave in place of backing it up?
No.
What?
No. All it is, it's a protection type thing. Okay.
It protects your
If
devices, yeah.
All right, if a nuclear blast, EMP, or something like that goes off, and you have your electronic stuff inside of a microwave that's unplugged, okay, and not operational, just an old microwave that's not operational anymore, it will semi protect it from that nuclear radiation or that EMP pulse in order to do it. Not everybody has a Faraday cage. All right.
But
So
most people have.
there are alternatives to doing that.
And let me point
Okay.
out, if you see in a nearby town, obviously what you're not close to, a nuclear blast. Now, the thing you have to worry about, if you're not close enough to have been affected by the blast, what you do have to do is you've got about 20 minutes to get yourself and your stuff into safety, maybe underground somewhere or whatever, because the fallout, which is sent out to the up first of all, it takes about 20 minutes before it hits the ground again. And that is what kills you, if you're not close enough to be killed by the blast. So if you see an explosion, make sure you get underground and then put your stuff in the microwave underground, preferably for safety, within that 20-minute period.
Okay.
Okay. Well, and then I had one other. If we're on signal,
Yes.
Mhm.
in order to get communication after things go down, do we also have to be connected to Starlink? And do we do that ahead of time, or is that going to be an automatic?
That should be an automatic thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
However you're connected to Signal now is just, because you can connect to Signal either via the mobile phone networks or via your local internet connection. So whichever works. Right. Yeah. Because very few people have Starlink connections.
Right.
So,
and whenever we get transferred over to the new Starlink system and the internet is free for everyone and the signal is boosted up, we should be fine. Okay.
Yeah. But I think by then we won't need Signal anyway, because then the normal system will be back up and running.
All right.
Hey, thanks. Have a good
All right.
day, guys.
Thank you, Dee.
You're
Brian.
welcome.
Hello, Brian. Just got to unmute there, buddy.
Get rid of the bottom left. There should be a button to switch. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, normally I just push my space bar, but that doesn't work always.
Well, we're not in space.
Well, that's some of us are a little spacier than others, but okay.
Watch
Hey, I
this
got a
space.
question. Got a question, and I think I know the answer. I've got some Zims. Can I redeem them for my grandchildren, or do they have to be 18 or older?
Zims are associated with projects. So whoever goes to the redemption center with the Zim needs to present a project, or at least allocate the money to projects which they have there. Now, as far as I know, I'm not sure about this. I think you have to have a certain age to be suitable to be able to run a project. I think you should be at least 18 in order to be able to run a project. So I don't know if your children will be able to qualify for that. I'm not sure about this thing. I just think that's probably what's going to happen.
I would go with the assumption, and I know what assumptions are, but you have to be at least 18 years of age or older in order to attend a redemption center appointment by yourself. Okay.
Yeah, I would think that would be the case as well. So to understand, without a humanitarian project, there is no money available for personal use. Is that correct?
There should be, because you can allocate to a project which they have there. You can go there and say, look, I want to donate this money. What projects do you have? Or you can just ask around. You may know of a project near you which you really feel should get some money. Maybe a local project for people who have no housing, or whatever it is, even a kitty farm. Some project. Either you can find a project you want to associate with, but then talk to the people and get a business plan from them, or ask at the time. Of course, ideal is if you have a project of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they're really looking for. They're looking for people to run humanitarian projects.
Right. Yeah. I have several projects, so that's not a problem for myself or my wife. I just wasn't sure. We actually have more Zims than we probably need. So
right.
So I thought, maybe I could use them for the grandkids, but they're all minors, so
yeah,
probably not.
Yeah, you see, a lot of people confuse Zims with dongs and dinars. Dongs, dinars, Bolivar, and whatever. That's just a money exchange. You don't need a project for those. Yeah, so
Right.
I think miners could probably use those for exchange. Yeah, because it's just a plain one currency for another. Zim is all about projects. It's designed for humanitarian projects, and the money we get from those is basically just to cover our own costs, so that we can live comfortably while we're doing these humanitarian projects. That's the idea behind it. It's
Okay.
not designed as a simple money exchange. It's designed as we are supported ourselves so that we can do humanitarian projects without the need to earn a profit.
Okay.
So I also have dongs. From what I hear you saying, maybe I could give those to the grandkids and have
That's
them
much more
decide.
likely, yes.
Yeah. What I would do is just go in with whatever you have to your redemption appointment, get everything exchanged, and then dole out the money as need be after that.
Yeah,
That's
could do
right,
that
yeah.
as well.
That's
Yep.
probably the easiest way, because then once you have the money, then it's up to you who you give it to.
Right.
Sure.
But
Sure.
again, the idea is make them earn it. All right.
Right.
Don't just
Right.
give it to them. All right. And whatnot, because a lot of that, what has happened and what we are experiencing right now is people not earning their keep in this world. And,
Sure.
you have to keep your eyes on things so that they don't do evil things with the money. Okay.
Right.
Right. You could do things like, find out what job they want to do, or what profession they want to go, and just say, look, when you're old enough, I've got some money to set you up in that business.
Mm-hmm.
That's that kind of thing. I think would be a great way of doing that.
Okay.
Sure. All right. Thank you much.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Hey, Don, what's going on?
How you doing?
Good.
I've got some specific questions for you, if I may.
Right.
Sure.
See if you folks can navigate this any better than what I've been able to do.
Right.
The GME EI utility, or
Yes.
the LEI lookup utility,
Yes.
tells you how many times you've actually been traded on the market. But I don't know what to do with it. Once you find that out, what can you do with it? And the second question, part of that, is the QSIP number that's tied to your social security number. How
Yes.
can you find out what that is? I've been all over the internet searching. I haven't been able to find anything on it to convert my social security number into that trading number. Can't find it. I keep getting run around in circles. You go to one site and it tells you to go to this site, and it's the same site you just came from. So it's like a never-ending circle. That's
All
two of my
right.
questions.
So I'm not too familiar with the second one. The first one that you're talking about, the GMEI utility, I just posted in the chat there. Okay, so you can get that. I think the other one is the international version. Is that right, Richard?
Well, LEI, I think, is just for the U.S. Really, I think it is. It's the same thing. It's the oh golly, I can't think of it now. It's I can't think of what they stand for, but it's basically the same thing. On the LEI, I actually got I was traded 2 million times. And on the GMEI, it said I was traded 166,000 times.
Right.
So discrepancy there, but once you find that out, what can you do with it? I mean, I don't see anything you could do with it unless you can tie it back to the. And it's
then that goes back to getting claiming back your sovereignty and getting rid of your straw man. Okay. So that they can't buy and sell you anymore. All right.
So from what I understand, there's bonds that are associated with that trading, though, that it gives you a value, and supposedly that's what we're going to be getting back when the GESARA occurs. That's where
correct.
our money's coming from.
Yeah. Right.
That is correct.
Tied to a,
Now,
it's supposed to be tied to a CUSIP number, and I just haven't been able to figure out what my social security number, what my QSIP number is on the stock market, because every stock has to have a QSIP number. And like I said, I've been trying to research that on the internet, and I haven't been able to find squat about it. So I thought maybe you folks might have something there.
Right. If I can say something, although I'm not American and I don't have an American social security number, I have, in one of our previous shows, we were talking about this. And I remember them saying that when you're looking for your for what was earned on your birth certificate, for example,
Mhm,
you have to enter your social security number with all the dashes in between,
mhm. Yeah.
and only then will you find something. So if you leave out the dashes or thing, you won't find it. That's just something I seem to remember from, well, which I do remember from a previous
Mhm.
discussion in one of our previous shows.
Yeah, I've done that. That's how I found out how many times I've been traded and that. So I'm all good with that. I just don't
Yeah.
know what you can do with that to find it out. Is there anything that can really be done?
Well,
And
yeah, this is something I'm also investigating, but I haven't got that far yet. Because obviously, yeah, it'd be great to get my own money out. With me, it would be the British birth certificate number, and interestingly enough, I have two birth certificates because I asked for a reprint, and I got a different number. So there must be two numbers which would have been traded with on my
Right.
on my
But
name.
you know, you can go through the motions of doing all of that through the common law court and get your sovereignty back and things of that nature. But at the same time, you know, if you want to do the exercise and do your own diligence, so you're educated on common law and things of that nature, that would be great. We're planning on doing a common law episode here
Absolutely, yes.
in the very near future with Ron Wise.
I think probably mid-June we're talking about when that happens.
Okay. I think whenever GESARA finally kicks in, all of this is going to be a moot point anyway.
Except we may want to reclaim what was being earned on our birth certificates in our past.
Right. So we'll do a deep dive into that at a later time, but you know,
That's right.
now,
We want to do some research, and that's why we're setting. It's going to be around mid-June that we want to do our common law special, and then we want to do a real deep dive into that.
Okay.
that sounds. Any idea what the opening price or what you're expecting out of the dong? I keep hearing dinar, but I don't hear what the
Dong
expected.
is about 250.
Yeah.
$2.50.
So, I've heard anywhere from $2 to $4.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
For the dong.
I think $2.25 to $4 was the range.
Right.
We don't know exactly, but that's the range which they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing, real quick. The Covfefe, Billy, I read something on the internet. I believe it was in Telegram. I don't know if it was on One Republic network or what it was. Well, what they said was the 5G towers, everywhere the 5G towers are,
Yes.
they put something on, not all of them, but on a lot of them. They put a box down at the bottom that encompasses that 5G, so it cannot emit the 5G or the EMF.
Right.
And that's what they call Covfefe.
That is
I
correct.
could be wrong.
No,
but,
no,
yeah.
you're absolutely correct. So it cannot be weaponized. All right. However, you know, there are trucks out there and they've been used in Australia. Our friend Nick from Australia was actually hit by one. The 5G technology, which made him break out and everything else, make it like a sunburn. Okay.
Mhm.
But they are using mobile trucks with the 5G technology.
Got it.
I just posted into the chat a link which talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks. That's it for me. Have a great
All
day.
right. Thank you, Don. Aggie.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey,
Yes.
yes, Aggie. How you doing, man?
I like
I'm
your
doing-
surname. It sounds like my first name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, we're doing very well. Hey, just wondering, we're grateful for the work you're doing.
Thank
But
you.
anyhow, we haven't heard much about this debt forgiveness, the seniors discount, seniors benefits and all that. Is that still in the bucket or has that been
Where can I ask you where are you?
Canada?
Where? Canada.
In Canada, yes.
Okay, because it could be different from depending on which country. People on this show could come from anywhere in the world.
Right. Yeah.
So debt forgiveness is basically we should all get it. That's part of the GESARA thing. There's already reports of quite a few people who've already had their debt forgiven. If you look at the American debt clock, you'll see that it's moving backwards in some cases. So the debt forgiveness is an ongoing project, but when it reaches you personally is anybody's guess because they can't do it everybody at the same time.
All right. And as far as senior citizens are concerned and people getting the stipend of $5,000 per month, All right, that is still in the work for anyone over 60. Okay, I believe. All right, and that should happen automatically. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, basically, if we switch, say in June, then the $5,000 will not come until July. That's what I'm told.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Probably not before the GESARA has been totally rolled out. Huh?
That's right. Yeah. When GESARA goes in, it's the following month when the $5,000 is supposed to start.
Oh yeah.
Correct. All right.
Very good.
All right. Thank you,
so
Aggie.
much. Have a great day.
Absolutely.
You
You too.
blessed. All right.
Yep.
Matthew.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
Matthew.
Yes. One quick question. So the Tier 4B notification, as you mentioned, Peter, is from the 25th May to the 4th of June. Assuming that's correct, can we expect major global distraction events from the June the 5th?
Yeah, it's called the Queen's Jubilee.
Okay, yep.
That should be a big enough distraction. I mean, there could be other things happening. Could be like
Now,
an attack could be a war. It could be anything. But there's certainly supposed to be some kind of a distraction at that period, and the Jubilee does fit into that period.
All right. Here are the things that I have been told. All right, as far as the whole revaluation and the GESARA and the banks being put online and whatnot, it would never happen on a weekday because the banks are still open. They need time in order to do this. All right. It would make sense for the banks here in the United States to go over this this coming weekend because it's a 3-day holiday. It's also a 3-day holiday, Friday through Sunday. Am I correct? Over in Europe, is that right, Peter? This weekend?
Well, I got the holiday today.
So you got the holiday today.
But a lot of people take tomorrow off because then they may have a 4-day weekend.
Right. So it makes sense that they would use a long weekend that's established anyway in order to get all the banks online and compliant, because that gives them time to get everything set up. All right. And it may happen on a Saturday. All right. For example, when everything is shut down, and there may not be access to anything until Tuesday of next week. So it makes sense that they would do something like that over a holiday weekend. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much, Billy and Peter.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. All right. Judy, go ahead.
Wouldn't it be great if it was this weekend?
It would be.
Wow.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Okay.
As I listen to you guys, I keep getting more and more questions. Okay. But my first one is, have you seen on Telegram I just saw a picture and they said they kept saying they were saving Israel for last.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so with that, then I saw a picture where they had North America and they had Israel in North America and Egypt and pyramids and everything. And somebody said, Google it. And I Googled it. And there's all these maps, biblical maps with Israel being in North America.
Yes.
Have you heard of this before?
Yes, I have, because they've shown correlations in between the Dead Sea and the way Israel sits and everything else as compared to to Lake Michigan, okay, in the eastern side of Lake Michigan, in Michigan. All right. It's really astounding to see how much they represent each other. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's correlations there and everything. Do I think that the United States could be the new Israel as described in the Bible, the nation of Israel? Yeah, it could be. All right. It could be. But we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of things that have to play out first before Israel gets taken out. Now, could it be that it's a metaphorical thing where it's not the state of Israel, but the nation of Israel? There's two different things. There's the state of Israel, which is the physical geographical location of the state of Israel, and then there's the nation of Israel, which is more people. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does.
All right.
Okay, so it just that just like threw me for a loop. It's like, you're kidding me. I mean, what else have they lied about?
Well, no, you know, the correlations are there. I can see them, but whether that's true or not, I don't know. Okay, it could be. Whenever we're talking, like I said, whenever we're talking about it, there is two different things: the state of Israel and the nation of Israel.
And
Okay.
also you have to remember that the Israelis own a lot of things in America. They own the telephone systems. They own Hollywood. They own banks. That they own the judiciary. They basically bought up everything. The
Right.
media. So they're kind of already there.
All right. Now, whenever we're talking about that, you have to separate out what is the state of Israel, what is the nation of Israel. You also have to separate out what is the Zionists and the Jesuits versus the Hebrews, okay, and the religion. All right. Now, whenever we're talking about the state of Israel, all right, we're talking about the Zionists and the Jesuits. All right, they are the ones, the cabal that are controlling the bankers and things of that nature around the world. Evil Hollywood, pedophilia, you know,
Khazarian mafia you're talking about.
The Khazarian mafia, right? And those are the, you know, the state of Israel was actually created by Lord de Rothschild, okay, back in the early 1900s. So the state of Israel is actually a farce. All right, it is not owned by the Israeli people or the Hebrew faith. Okay, it is owned by the Jesuits and Zionists.
Okay. So
okay.
What they're doing, they're taking down all those people right now. So
yes,
that's where all the arrests are and everything.
Mm-hmm. And there's probably a lot more getting arrested over in Davos right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, they had a lot of protection. They were trying with jets flying and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, kind of.
Yeah, I'm sure security is very high there, but a hypersonic missile that would do the trick.
Yes, it would. You know, but thank you, Judy. Appreciate the comments.
I have a question about the EMFs. Okay,
yes.
So EMFs have the possibility of taking out everybody's vehicles, correct? Because they could.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That's
so
why I still. That is why I still have. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So if you unhook your battery, would that save your computer?
No.
Okay.
No, it will not.
No, because of radiation. But putting it underground will help, or putting a metal box around it will help.
Right. That's why I also suggest to have an old car or truck around that doesn't have a computer in it that still works off the points and you know and everything else. The old style, you know, vehicles. Because if an EMP hits those, all you have to do is do a transfer of about $5 in parts from your local auto parts store, and you can get that thing back up and running. Okay,
right.
It will take out your points and, you know, and your distributor cap and things of that nature, and you'll need to change spark plugs. But you know, those are simple things versus the computer, which would be totally fried.
So if we go park it in a metal barn with a metal roof, there's a good possibility it may be safe.
It's a possibility.
Maybe underground is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a metal cage. For example, often you have these concrete underground car parks. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to have a lot of metal inside the concrete. So that is going to work pretty well in protecting from radio waves. Right. Also, desktop computers often are in metal boxes by themselves. You know, they have quite and so if you have a surge protector protecting from electrical surges going into your computer, there's a chance that your computer might survive that. That's what I've done on my computer, for example.
Yeah, but most people don't use that technology correctly. You know.
Yeah, but a surge protector, I've got surge protectors on my lines just to help problems like that.
I have a question about the electricity. So we're just finding out it's all illegal and everything. And like when you have to set up a payment plan, they want you to mail in the contract because there's no contracts with anybody with that. So do we have to become sovereign U.S. nationals or state nationals and go through everything before we could stop paying our electric bills?
I think so. Because
Yes.
then you're under different laws. I know, like here in the UK, the way we do it is we have to swear an oath to the barons and get 3 witnesses. And one thing I learned recently, which I wasn't so clear on, is that you write this oath, you sign it in red ink. Because red means you're alive, blue means it's corporate, and black means dead. You're dead. So even the color of the ink makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So always sign things which make you sovereign in red ink.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Then I had another question that came about when we were talking about the ZIMs. We were told they were to be used for projects, but also if somebody did not have a project, that they could go in and dedicate their ZIMs to another, to whatever project the powers that be would like. And
Right.
that person would still get a portion of the ZIM.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what we're hearing. Yes,
That is correct.
Okay. Because I have
so they
three
will have
children.
a list of projects, and then you can choose which one you'd like to support.
Ah, okay. Because I have 3 children. One has massive projects. She just keeps adding to it and adding to it. My son's got a few, like a new fire station and different things. But my one daughter, she says, I don't want to dedicate to anything. So, but I gave her 10 trillion
Okay.
for her to go in and cash
Okay.
herself.
Well, wouldn't she want to say help her sibling, her relations?
Help
You know,
what?
because well, her sister, her brother or sister. If they
Oh,
have
yeah.
projects, why can't you
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, I'm contributing to that project"?
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
the one girl's she bought a lot of Zims. So her projects are covered probably, but then
Right.
maybe not. She's got so many. She's like, her brain
Well,
won't even stop.
remember this, and keep reminding her you are only one person. Okay, you are only one entity. There's only
Mhm.
so much one man or woman would be able to do.
Well,
Okay.
she's going to get them so they duplicate themselves. She's going to have so many people running things.
Mm-hmm.
Her
Right.
job is to
But
get them up and
pick
running.
one of the major ones first, get it up and running,
Yeah.
and then go back for the other ones. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
She's got it figured out, and she's getting help from up above.
From up above. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Judy. Appreciate the
Thank you.
comments here
All right.
today. You have a blessed day.
Okay.
Kirky. Hello, Kirky. How's Nicholas doing?
We have been to him. He had an MRI on Monday.
Okay.
It was today, Thursday. And we're waiting for the results, but I know that it is cancer in the pancreas. And the oncologist wants to have a, it's not in the MRI, the other one with the, the simplest going through the, what is it called?
X-ray?
Yes, it's not X-ray. It is similar to X-ray, but it is like an MRI.
Okay.
It's not the same, but they will, in that one, they will have a biopsy. They will pick things to have biopsy.
Sure.
The only thing is that I'm confident that this person, this doctor, has been helping a client of Nicholas who has been saved, as he put it, 4 or 5 times by this doctor.
Okay.
So it's a promising procedure.
Yeah.
But I'm not stopping at that. First of all, I want to express my gratitude because you are like a family, and it is so nice to be able to share some things.
Absolutely,
So,
yes.
I've had a very good experience and heard about the Gerson therapy with the coffee enema. So Nicholas asked me that he wanted an enema before going to the MRI because he needed to get rid of all this. Never mind.
Needed to get rid of all the crap out of his system. Okay.
Good,
all right.
Thank you. That's it. So
now Charlie was
think
telling us yesterday on the Insider Club that the they are the med beds are becoming available like within a week or two.
When? Where?
Well, that's what he was saying. He was saying that he knew two people who already had appointments to go on med beds. So,
which country?
well, he's in Spain.
Right.
Ah.
So
How
he
can
didn't
we
he
get-
didn't explain where, but he did explain that. They also Chaz Carter with People's Patriot Network, okay, or People's Party News. He's actually been in a chamber. There's a video out there about it. An anti-aging chamber.
How can I get in touch with this person to get maybe some exchange, some information? Because really, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't go to bed until 11:30 at night.
Mhm.
So, and the day, you can't imagine what are the things. I think it's a week that is gone in a day.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate if I gave you my email, could you mail me the connection so that I can ask?
I'm
this
putting it
person?
in the chat right now. People's the Patriot Party News. I'm sorry, Patriot Party News.
Patriot Party's news. It's in the.
I just posted it. I just posted their Telegram channel in the chat.
And contact the Connecting Consciousness group in your country, because they are supposed to be involved in the rollout of medbeds. Oh, you just lost it. And so maybe they can help you as well in finding that.
Yeah.
I will get in touch with the lady that I've been in touch with, but I didn't have the chance to go and do anything else because I said every minute is taken.
And another thing, I received an email from a guy called Andy who wanted me to pass a message on to you. He said that Charlie Ward interviewed a guy who can heal people using their photos and a Tesla-style device. It's a recent video on his website, and the guy's name is Tom Palladino. I haven't had a chance to look at the video. I had a brief look at the website. I'm not sure whether it's a good thing or not. But I've certainly heard about these kind of devices. It's a bit like remote healing, that kind of thing. You could look into it. I'm just passing on the message. I do have a long history in alternative health because I run the RIFE Forum, which is all about resonance therapy treatments. So I've been hearing about this technology for many years. I'm a little bit suspect of distance healing because we had a system on our forum which people were pushing, where people got hurt because it was not doing what was claimed. But it doesn't mean that technology altogether is wrong, or that this Tom Palladino, which is not the one I was talking about, doesn't work. Maybe it does. I just pass on the message. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. The only thing is with the chat, will I have the chance to be able to get a screenshot or try to get the information? Because when we start, it's going to be lost.
When I post the recording of this program, I will include the chat as a text file which you can download.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
One question is the photos we need to get for the Zims. Do we get a photo of the Zim, print out, and included in the dossier and the file that we have? Remember,
you can just scan your currency.
Right.
Scan. I'm out of scanner because it's
photo will do that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a picture of it, just for your own records.
Yeah.
Not that it will be necessary in the file.
No.
No,
not the file you take to the redemption appointment.
No,
it's just
take the notes themselves.
Take the notes themselves, but just for your own personal backup, you have pictures front and back of each of the notes. Okay.
The 10 trillion could be personal or a family gift.
However,
10
you
trillion
want
note.
Your actual Zim bond, the 10 trillion.
Yes.
Well, yeah. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But it will be the same rate or a different rate since it's a personal thing.
Well, I would I would discuss that with redemption people.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
You're
Turkey.
welcome.
God
You're
bless.
welcome. And good luck
Thank
to
you.
Nicholas.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Sandra McCurdy. Sandra.
Sandra doesn't want to speak to us.
Doesn't want to speak. All right. Sandra's
Oh,
got her
dear.
hand raised. She's not listening or gone off to do something else. No one else has their hands raised at this point. So, we've got many different things going on, a lot of different things. Anybody else got any prayer requests? Let's open it up.
Well,
To that.
I can fill in with something else.
Yeah.
On the I have a separate event happening in early June, so I'm going to be visiting a convention from, I think it's the 3rd to the 5th of June. And what it is, it's a Star Trek or sci-fi convention. It's Europe's largest, called FedCon. Happens in Bonn, which is just half an hour's drive from where I live, and I go there every year. And this year it's from the 3rd to the 5th of June. I'll be going down there, and normally I'm presenting Star Trek New Voyages at that convention. This year I'm not, because I just didn't have time to prepare anything. So I'm just going there as a guest. Probably nobody here is going to that convention, but I will be filming, and I will be seeing if I can interview people to see what they think about a Star Trek future. And I will probably have things. That means that Sunday, not this Sunday, but the Sunday in 1 week, Sunday's SJ will be moved to Monday, because I can't do the show from Bonn. And I'm sure it'll be a very interesting show, because I'll be reporting from the FedCon. So we'll have a little bit of a sci-fi orientated episode on that Monday as opposed to Sunday. And so it's always something I look forward to every year, the FedCon convention. I didn't go to last year's simply because of all the COVID restrictions, and me not being vaccinated made it difficult for me to go there. But that's okay this year.
All right. But so keep that in mind. 1 week from this Sunday, it will not be on Sunday, June 6th. It will be on Monday, June 7th. Is that correct?
I think you got the date wrong. I think June.
June.
I think it'll be, instead of the 5th, it's the 6th.
Okay, so Sunday the 5th, we will not do a show, but on the 6th we will.
That's right. This Monday. It's Monday the 6th instead of Sunday the 5th.
Okay. All right. Sandra, we're going to give you a last call. You got your hand raised. Sandra McCurdy? No? Okay. Well,
she doesn't like us. Yeah.
All right.
She just ran off.
All right. Well, if nobody has anything else here today, we will call it a day. And Peter, any final thoughts?
It's exciting times because it does look like we're very close to redemption, and as you can see from the amount of intel I was reading today, there's lots happening, and there's a lot more happening behind the scenes which we're not hearing about. There's also talk about a potential war, that this could come to a head, and that it will look like we're going to be on the verge of a nuclear war. This is something we have to go through. It doesn't mean there will be a war, but the scare will be there, and it will sound like it. Just keep calm. It's part of the story, and the world could look pretty nasty for a few days. So if anything like that happens, and we are hearing that is bound to happen, or because the deep state is fighting to the last man, and they realize they're losing, but they still have moves to play, and part of that, Biden is trying very hard to start a war with Russia. But Russia, of course, is not interested in a war, and another reason for starting a war is that GESARA cannot happen if we were in war. All wars have to end for GESARA to happen. So this would be a way of the deep state delaying the move to GESARA. And so they're trying very hard to create a war. And there's also stories about containers being spread all over America, where the containers have cruise missiles built into them. And the white hats have been busy removing that threat. But of course, these containers can also be in ships which are still at sea. So I say there are things which could be nasty, which are ahead of us. Do not worry. The white hats are there to protect us, and I don't think we will actually have a war, but it will look bad. And there is a story as well of the Chinese, and this is the dark hat Chinese, the CCP, trying to do a hostile takeover of the USA. That they have people already in the USA who are armed, and that they have lots of container ships full of armed materials. Now the white hats are aware of this. There is the CCP has been working hard to try and take over the USA as a hostile takeover. I don't think it's going to happen, but it doesn't mean that nothing will happen. So just be aware of this, be prepared, and make sure that you have food and water and all supplies in stock at least for the next few weeks, because we just don't know what will happen, and it's better to be prepared. So that's just a little warning from the intel which we're getting, that we might have a few nasty days still ahead of us before things get much better.
Don't panic.
Don't panic, as it says on the Douglas Adams book.
That's right.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe.
And like it says, the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. What is 42? Does anybody know what 42 stands for in computer code? Because when they asked the mass computer what is the meaning of life, universe, and everything, the computer spit out one thing. And the answer was 42. Now, if you're thinking in computer speak, what is computer code for 42?
I have to think about that one.
Okay, I'll give you the answer. It's an asterisk. All right. And what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? 42, an asterisk. And what is the meaning of an asterisk? It is whatever you want it to be.
Right. Okay.
That's what an asterisk is. It is whatever you want it to be.
We could also represent the sun or life, or there's all kinds of things you could imagine with an asterisk.
Right. Exactly. That's right. Thank you, Lynn, for posting the asterisk in the chat. That's right.
Oh, right. Wow. Another thing is, recently I was a little bit behind in releasing episodes. We're now up to date. Every episode up to today's, obviously today's has not been released as a recording. We're still on it, but all the backlog has been cleared. That means the Birmingham episode has been released, and the 2 episodes after that. Everything is available to be watched online. Who's seen the Birmingham show here? Have you all seen it? Yeah, a few have.
A few have. Okay.
Yeah, if not, have a look at it. It's a great show. I think it's one of our best for a long time, and it's available online on the forum for all you guys to see. It was a lot of work, and it really needs to be seen. I think you'll love it.
All right. But thank you all for showing up today. We will see you again on Sunday, if not sooner, if we have something exciting happen. Okay?
Well, let's hope for something exciting. Yeah.
All right. So everybody wave bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye,
everyone.
Nice seeing everybody.
Bye, guys.
Seeing everybody.
Thank you very much.
Later.